The lawyer's office smelled like old leather and disappointment. Alex Reed sat in the worn chair, staring at the holographic documents floating above the desk. His grandfather had been dead for 3 weeks, and this was the first time anyone had bothered to contact him about it. "I'm sorry for your loss," the lawyer said, though his voice carried no real emotion. Admiral Henry Reed was quite specific about his final wishes. Alex almost laughed. His grandfather had barely spoken to him in 15 years. The last conversation they'd had was a screaming match about Alex dropping out of the Naval Academy to become a mechanic. Henry had called him a disappointment. Alex had called him a cold-hearted bastard. Neither of them had tried to bridge that gap since. "Let me guess," Alex said, leaning back in his chair. "He left me his debts and a lecture about wasted potential." The lawyer adjusted his glasses and swiped through the holographic text. "Actually, he left you a ship." Alex blinked. "A ship?" "The Iron Resolve. It's currently located in the Outer Rim Salvage Yard, Sector 7G. According to these records, it's a decommissioned military vessel from the Border Wars era." The lawyer paused, studying Alex's face. "There are also some personal effects aboard that he wanted you to have. The salvage yards were 3 days away by transport, and Alex had to use most of his savings just to get there. He worked for Davidson, salvage, stripping valuable components from dead ships, so he knew exactly what kind of graveyard awaited him. Thousands of vessels floated in the darkness, held in place by gravitational anchors, slowly being picked apart by crews like his. Sector 7G was in the worst part of the yards, where ships went to be forgotten rather than salvaged. Alex's transport pilot, an older woman named Rita, shook her head as they approached the coordinates. "Your grandfather's ship is out here?" she asked, checking her scanners. "This sector's been abandoned for years. Nothing valuable left to strip." The Iron Resolve appeared on their screens like a ghost from the past. It was a Titan-class cruiser, nearly 400 meters long, with the distinctive angular hull of pre-war human engineering. But 40 years in space had not been kind to her. Hull patches covered what must have been massive breaches, and several weapon turrets were missing entirely. Debris floated around the ship like a cloud of metallic snow. "She's been picked clean," Rita observed as they approached the docking bay. "Surprised she's still in one piece." Alex paid Rita and watched her transport disappear into the darkness between the dead ships. Then he activated the airlock and stepped aboard his inheritance. The ship was cold and dark. Emergency lighting cast everything in a dim red glow, and the air tasted stale despite the life support system still running. Alex's footsteps echoed through empty corridors as he made his way toward the bridge. Most of the valuable equipment had been stripped away long ago. Empty mounting brackets showed where computer terminals and weapon controls used to be. The bridge was a hollow shell of its former self. The captain's chair remained, but everything else was gone. Alex stood where his grandfather had once commanded this vessel, trying to imagine what the old man had been thinking during those final battles of the Border Wars. Henry Reed had been a decorated admiral, a hero to some, a stubborn fool to others. Now his legacy was this floating tomb. Alex made his way to the captain's quarters, hoping to find something that might explain why his grandfather had left him this wreck. The room was small and Spartanly furnished, much like the man himself had been. A simple bed, a desk, and a few personal items that the salvagers had deemed worthless. On the desk sat a framed photo of Alex as a child, standing next to his grandfather in front of a different ship. Alex barely remembered that day, but Henry had kept the picture all these years. Beside it was a handwritten note. For Alex, "Some things are worth more than they appear. Look deeper. HR." Look deeper at what? Alex searched the room but found nothing else of interest. Frustrated, he decided to explore the rest of the ship. Maybe there was something valuable he could salvage to at least cover his travel expenses. As he made his way through the lower decks, Alex noticed that one section seemed less damaged than the others. The maintenance bay still had power, and several workstations appeared to be functional. In the corner, partially hidden by a fallen beam, sat an old maintenance robot. The robot was in terrible condition. Its outer shell was corroded and dented, and one of its manipulator arms hung loose at its side. The designation Unit 7 was barely visible through the rust and grime. Alex had worked with similar models during his brief time at the academy. They were basic maintenance units, nothing special. But as Alex moved the fallen beam to get a better look, he accidentally triggered a power coupling that had been exposed by the damage. Sparks flew, and suddenly the maintenance bay's main systems came online. Lights flickered to life, and the robot's optical sensors began to glow with a faint blue light. Unit 7's head turned slowly toward Alex, servos whining with disuse. When it spoke, its voice was distorted by static and damaged speakers, but unmistakably alive. "Admiral Reed," the robot said, its optical sensors focusing on Alex's face. "You've returned. I have been waiting." Alex stepped back, startled. "I'm not Admiral Reed, he's dead." The robot tilted its head, processing this information. Its sensors scanned Alex more carefully. "Facial structure analysis complete. Genetic markers suggest family relation. You are his grandson, Alex Reed, age 28. Former Naval Academy cadet. Current employment with Davidson Salvage Corporation." "How do you know all that?" Alex asked. "Admiral Reed spoke of you often," Unit 7 replied. "He was proud of your mechanical abilities, though disappointed by your career choices. He believed you had great potential that you were not fulfilling." Alex felt a familiar anger rising in his chest. Even from beyond the grave, his grandfather was criticizing his life choices. Yeah, well, he made his feelings pretty clear when he was alive. The Admiral was not skilled at expressing emotions, Unit 7 said, struggling to its feet. One leg appeared to be damaged, causing it to limp. But his concern for you was genuine. He often wondered if he had been too harsh. This was not the conversation Alex had expected to have with a rusty maintenance robot. "You're just a work unit. How would you know anything about his feelings?" Unit 7 paused as if considering its response carefully. "I served alongside Admiral Reed for many years. One learns to read the patterns of those one works with closely." Alex studied the robot more carefully. There was something odd about its responses. Most maintenance units had simple conversational programs, but Unit 7 spoke with a complexity that seemed unusual for its apparent function. "Why are you still here?" Alex asked. "Why didn't the salvagers take you?" "I was powered down when they came," Unit 7 explained. "Hidden beneath the debris. The Admiral instructed me to remain with the ship until you arrived. He knew I would come. He hoped you would. He believed that someday you would need what this ship has to offer." Alex looked around at the stripped and damaged vessel. "This ship has nothing to offer. It's a wreck." Unit 7's optical sensors dimmed, slightly. "Appearances can be deceiving, Alex Reed. Your grandfather understood this. Perhaps in time you will as well." The robot began to move around the maintenance bay, checking systems and running diagnostics on equipment that Alex had assumed was beyond repair. As Unit 7 worked, it began to hum an old military tune that Alex remembered his grandfather singing when he was very young. For the first time since entering the ship, Alex wondered if there might be more to his inheritance than he had thought. The robot was certainly more sophisticated than it appeared, and his grandfather had never done anything without a purpose. Maybe it was time to look deeper, just as the old man's note had suggested. 3 days had passed since Alex first powered up Unit 7, and the robot had become his constant companion aboard the Iron Resolve. What started as curiosity had turned into something resembling friendship, though Alex wasn't sure how to feel about befriending a machine. Unit 7 followed him through the ship's corridors, offering suggestions and sharing stories about Admiral Reed that painted a different picture of the man Alex remembered. According to the robot, Henry Reed had spent countless hours aboard this ship talking about his grandson, wondering if Alex was happy, if he had enough to eat, if he was staying out of trouble. "The Admiral kept every letter you sent him as a child," Unit 7 said as they worked to restore power to another section of the ship. "He would read them repeatedly, especially the one where you drew pictures of spaceships and said you wanted to be just like him someday." Alex paused in his work. "I never sent him any letters as a kid." "Your mother sent them," Unit 7 explained. "She thought it would help bridge the gap between you." The Admiral treasured them, though he never knew how to respond appropriately. This revelation hit Alex harder than he expected. His mother had died when he was 12, and he'd never known about the letters. It made him see his grandfather's distant behavior in a different light. Maybe the old man hadn't known how to connect with a child, especially after losing his own son in a mining accident. As they worked together, Alex began to notice things about Unit 7 that didn't quite add up. The robot's technical knowledge was far beyond what a simple maintenance unit should possess. When they encountered a damaged power coupling that should have required specialized equipment to repair, Unit 7 had suggested a workaround using spare parts that Alex would never have thought to try. "How did you know that would work?" Alex asked after they successfully restored power to the ship's galley. Unit 7 hesitated for a moment. "Experience. I have performed many repairs over the years." But it was more than that. When they reached the navigation room, Unit 7 had immediately begun analyzing the star charts with an expertise that amazed Alex. The robot could identify stellar phenomena, calculate jump routes, and even predict asteroid movements with remarkable accuracy. "You're not just a maintenance robot, are you?" Alex said one evening as they sat in the restored galley, sharing a meal that Unit 7 had somehow managed to prepare from the ship's emergency supplies. "I am Unit 7, maintenance robot assigned to the Iron Resolve," the robot replied. But there was something evasive in its tone. Alex had spent enough time around machines to recognize when they were operating outside their normal parameters. "You know things that aren't in any maintenance robot's database. Yesterday you helped me recalibrate the shield generators, and today you were discussing alien ship designs like you'd encountered them before." Unit 7's optical sensors dimmed. "I have accessed various databases over the years. Information accumulates." "What databases?" "This ship was cut off from the network when it was decommissioned." The robot was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried a weight that Alex hadn't heard before. "Alex Reed, there are things about this ship and about your grandfather's final years that are classified under military protocols. I am not authorized to discuss them." "Classified? The war's been over for 40 years. What could still be classified?" "More than you might think," Unit 7 said. "Your grandfather discovered things during the final campaigns that he reported to his superiors. When those reports were dismissed, he took certain precautions." Alex leaned forward. "What kind of precautions?" Unit 7 stood and began clearing away the meal containers. "I have said too much already. Perhaps we should focus on repairing the ship's systems." But Alex's curiosity was fully awakened now. Over the following days, he paid closer attention to everything Unit 7 did and said. The robot's casual mention of colony locations that weren't on any official charts. Its detailed knowledge of alien technology that most humans had never even seen. The way it sometimes paused mid-sentence as if catching itself before revealing too much. The breakthrough came when Alex was working on the ship's main computer core. Most of the data had been wiped when the ship was decommissioned, but he managed to access some basic system logs. What he found made his blood run cold. According to the logs, Unit 7 had been accessing restricted military databases right up until Admiral Reed's retirement. Not just accessing them, but downloading massive amounts of classified information. Strategic reports, alien technology analyses, and intelligence briefings that should have been far above a maintenance robot's clearance level. "Unit 7, Alex called, his voice sharp. "I need you to look at something." The robot approached, its movements seeming more cautious than usual. "How may I assist you, Alex Reed?" Alex turned the screen toward the robot. "Explain these access logs. Why were you downloading classified military intelligence?" Unit 7 stared at the screen for several seconds, its optical sensors flickering rapidly. Those files were accessed under Admiral Reed's authorization. For what purpose? Maintenance purposes. Understanding ship systems requires comprehensive technical data. "This isn't technical data," Alex said, pulling up one of the file names. "This is a strategic analysis of alien fleet movements in the outer colonies. What would a maintenance robot need with that information?" Unit 7's entire frame seemed to sag. "Alex Reed, you are asking questions that I cannot answer without violating my core programming." "Then maybe it's time to change your programming," Alex said, moving to the computer's main interface. "I'm the owner of this ship now, which makes Me, your commanding officer. I'm ordering you to explain what's really going on here. You do not understand what you are asking. Then help me understand. Alex's fingers hovered over the keyboard. I can run a full diagnostic on your systems. I can trace every file you've accessed, every program you've run, but I'd rather you just told me the truth. Unit 7 was silent for a long time. Finally, it spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. The truth is dangerous, Alex Reed. Your grandfather died protecting certain secrets. If those secrets were revealed, it could endanger what remains of humanity. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. What are you talking about? The border wars did not end the way the history books claim, Unit 7 said. The aliens who attacked our colonies were not defeated. They retreated, but they were not defeated. Your grandfather knew this. He tried to warn the military command, but they would not listen. They wanted to believe the war was over. So what did he do? Unit 7's optical sensors met Alex's eyes. He prepared. He gathered intelligence, studied alien technology, mapped their movements. He knew they would return someday, and he wanted humanity to be ready. Alex stared at the robot, trying to process this information. And you helped him. I am more than I appear to be, Unit 7 admitted. Much more. Your grandfather saved me during the final battle of the war, transferred my core systems into this maintenance shell to hide what I truly am. What are you? Unit 7 straightened, and for the first time since Alex had known it, the robot's voice carried authority and confidence. I am Guardian 7, Strategic Command Intelligence for the human fleet, and the aliens are returning, Alex Reed. Sooner than anyone realizes. Alex sat down heavily, overwhelmed by this revelation. His rusty maintenance robot was actually a military AI that had been hiding aboard his grandfather's ship for decades, carrying intelligence about an alien threat that no one else believed existed. Why are you telling me this now? He asked. Because you are Admiral Reed's grandson and because time is running out, Guardian 7 replied. The preliminary alien scout forces have already begun positioning themselves in the outer systems. Their main invasion fleet will follow within months. Humanity needs to be warned, and more importantly, humanity needs to be prepared. Alex looked around at the damaged ship, then back at the robot that was apparently one of humanity's most sophisticated AIs. What did my grandfather expect me to do with this information? What any Reed would do, Guardian 7 said. Stand and fight when others cannot. Your grandfather left you this ship and me because he believed you would find the courage to do what needs to be done. Outside the ship, the salvage yard continued its slow, peaceful existence. But Alex Reed now knew that peace was an illusion. Somewhere in the darkness beyond human space, an alien fleet was preparing for war, and somehow it had fallen to him and a disguised AI to be humanity's first line of defense. The inheritance was starting to make sense, and Alex was beginning to understand that his grandfather had left him far more than just a ship and a robot. He had left him a responsibility that would determine the fate of the human race. The transformation began at exactly 0347 hours ship time. Alex had been trying to access the main computer core's deepest archives when he triggered something that Guardian 7 had clearly been hoping he would never find. Warning lights flooded. The computer room with red light and an automated voice began counting down from 10. Guardian, what's happening? Alex shouted over the alarms. Security protocol activated, the AI replied, but its voice had changed. Gone was the halting, static-filled speech of Unit 7. This voice was clear, commanding, and completely artificial. Stand back, Alex Reed. The transformation cannot be stopped. Alex stumbled backward as the maintenance robot began to change before his eyes. The corroded outer shell split along hidden seams and fell away like shed skin. Beneath the rusty exterior was something entirely different. Sleek, silver-blue metal emerged, along with weapon systems that had been cleverly concealed within the maintenance equipment. The robot's damaged limbs extended and reconfigured themselves into precision instruments and defensive arrays. What stood before Alex now was no maintenance unit. This was a piece of military hardware that belonged on the bridge of a flagship, not hidden in the belly of a decommissioned cruiser. The optical sensors that had seemed dim and failing now blazed with brilliant white light, and additional sensor arrays deployed from the robot's head and shoulders. "I am Guardian 7, the AI said, its voice now carrying the authority of its true nature. Strategic Command Intelligence Level Omega Classification, Serial Designation GRD 79823 Alpha. Alex could only stare. The transformation was so complete that he wondered how he had ever believed this was just a simple maintenance robot. Everything about Guardian 7's new form spoke of advanced military engineering and enormous cost. "You've been hiding this the whole time," Alex said finally. "I was programmed to hide," Guardian 7 replied. "During the final battle at Kepler Station, my original housing was destroyed by alien plasma fire. Admiral Reed managed to extract my core consciousness and transfer it into the maintenance robot as an emergency measure. The disguise was necessary for survival." "Survival from what?" Guardian 7's sensors swept the room, as if checking for threats even in the depths of the abandoned ship. "From those who would prefer that the truth about the border wars remain buried. Your grandfather attempted to file reports about what we discovered during the final campaigns. Those reports were classified and then deleted. Admiral Reed was quietly forced into early retirement to ensure his silence." Alex felt a chill. "What did you discover?" "That the alien forces we fought were never the main invasion force. They were scouts, testing our defenses, learning our capabilities. The real threat was always coming from deeper in space. But military command refused to believe the evidence." Guardian 7 moved to the main computer terminal with fluid precision. Its manipulators interfaced directly with the systems, and suddenly the room filled with holographic displays. Star charts appeared showing the positions of various alien fleets, most of them in regions of space that Alex had never heard of. "The species we call the hegemony controls approximately 40% of this galactic arm," Guardian 7 explained as the display zoomed out to show the full scope of alien territory. "They are a confederation of 6 different species, united under a single military doctrine, the complete elimination of potential threats to their expansion. And they consider us a threat?" Humanity's rapid technological development and territorial expansion caught their attention during the early colonial period. The border wars were their way of testing how effectively we could defend ourselves. We performed better than they expected. Alex studied the holographic displays, trying to understand the scope of what Guardian 7 was showing him. "So they're coming back to finish the job." "Correct. And they will arrive much better prepared this time." The display shifted to show detailed, technical analyses of alien spacecraft and weapons. "During the border wars, I was able to capture and analyze significant amounts of alien technology. Their capabilities exceed ours in several key areas, particularly energy weapons and defensive systems." "How long do we have?" Guardian 7 paused, its sensors dimming as it processed vast amounts of data. "Based on deep space monitoring data that I have been collecting through various means, the preliminary scout forces began positioning themselves approximately 18 months ago. The main invasion fleet is currently approximately 6 months away from the outer human colonies." Alex sank into a chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what he was learning. 6 months, and nobody knows they're coming. "Worse than that," Guardian 7 said. "Our current military forces are inadequate to repel a full-scale hegemony invasion. The peacetime fleet is smaller than it was during the border wars, and most of our defensive installations have been decommissioned or converted to civilian." "What did my grandfather expect us to do about it? We're 1 man and 1 AI hiding on a broken-down warship in a salvage yard." Guardian 7's optical sensors focused intently on Alex. Admiral Reed believed that desperate times require unconventional solutions. The official military channels have proven unreliable. Alternative approaches are necessary. The AI moved to another terminal and brought up a new set of displays. These showed human settlements that Alex didn't recognize, located in systems that weren't supposed to be inhabited. During the later stages of the border wars, several human colonies went dark, Guardian 7 explained. They were presumed destroyed by alien forces. In reality, Admiral Reed helped coordinate their evacuation to hidden locations where they could continue to develop defensive capabilities. Alex leaned forward, studying the colony locations. They're still out there? 17 settlements with a combined population of approximately 2 million people. They have spent the last 40 years preparing for the hegemony's return. They possess technological capabilities that exceed anything in the official human fleet. Why didn't they make contact with Earth? Why stay hidden? Because they learned the same lesson your grandfather did. The official government and military leadership cannot be trusted with critical information. Too many officials have been compromised, either through alien infiltration or simple political convenience. This revelation shook Alex more than anything else. Alien infiltration? They have agents among us? The hegemony has been placing sleeper agents in human society since before the border wars began. Most are unaware of their true nature, activated only when specific conditions are met. Others are willing collaborators who believe cooperation with the hegemony will ensure their survival. Guardian 7 brought up personnel files showing various high-ranking military and government officials. Several had red markers indicating suspected alien influence. Admiral Reed identified dozens of compromised individuals during his final years of service. His attempts to expose them were the real reason for his forced retirement. Alex stood and began pacing, trying to process everything he had learned. So we have 6 months to warn humanity about an invasion that our own government won't believe, using intelligence gathered by an AI that's supposed to be dead, with help from colonies that officially don't exist. That is an accurate summary of our situation, Guardian 7 confirmed. And if we fail, human civilization will be systematically destroyed. The hegemony does not take prisoners or establish protectorates. They eliminate threats completely. Alex E. stopped pacing and looked directly at the AI. What's our first move? Guardian 7's form shifted slightly, weapon systems retracting as more analytical equipment deployed. We begin by making this ship functional again. The Iron Resolve may appear to be a derelict, but she was one of the most advanced vessels of her time. With proper modifications and the alien technology I have analyzed, she can become a match for any ship in the hegemony fleet. You're talking about rebuilding an entire warship. I am talking about creating humanity's first line of defense, Guardian 7 corrected. Your grandfather left detailed modification plans in my databases. He spent his final years designing upgrades that would make this ship capable of challenging alien vessels. Alex looked around at the damaged computer room, then thought about the stripped corridors and empty weapons mounts throughout the ship. Where are we going to get the materials and equipment for something like that? From the salvage yard around us, Guardian 7 replied, and from sources within the hidden colonies. But first, we must reach them safely. Safely? Who's going to stop us? Guardian 7's optical sensors dimmed ominously. The same forces that have been monitoring our activities since you first powered me up 3 weeks ago. Alien agents became aware of my activation the moment my true systems came online. They are already positioning assets to eliminate us before we can warn anyone. As if summoned by the AI's words, new alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The external sensors showed multiple small craft approaching the Iron Resolve from different directions, moving with military precision. They found us, Guardian 7 stated. Prepare for combat, Alex Reed. Your education in interstellar warfare begins now. Alex felt his heart racing as he realized that everything had changed in the space of a few hours. He was no longer just a salvage worker who had inherited a broken ship. He was now humanity's early warning system, and there were aliens coming to kill him for it. The real war was about to begin. The first attack ship exploded in a brilliant flash of orange light, its wreckage spinning away into the void. Alex gripped the pilot's chair as the Iron Resolve shuddered under the recoil of its hastily repaired weapon systems. He had never imagined himself in combat, but Guardian 7 had given him no choice. Direct hit on Target 2, the AI announced calmly. 3 remaining hostiles closing from starboard. Alex watched the tactical display with growing amazement. The attackers were using human ships, but their movement patterns were all wrong. Too precise, too coordinated. Real human pilots would have shown more individual variation in their approach vectors. These aren't human crews, Alex said, sweat beading on his forehead as he tried to keep up with the AI's tactical instructions. Correct. Hegemony combat drones using captured human vessels, Guardian 7 replied. They have been monitoring salvage yards throughout human space, waiting for my reactivation signature. Another explosion lit up space as Guardian 7's perfectly calculated missile found its target. The remaining 2 attack ships broke formation and began evasive maneuvers, but they were no match for an AI that had been designed specifically for space combat. Within 10 minutes, the battle was over. The Iron Resolve hung alone among the debris. Of the destroyed attackers, her hull scarred but intact. Alex slumped in his chair, adrenaline still coursing through his system. How many more will come, he asked. Many more, Guardian 7 replied. Our location is now known to Hegemony Command. We have perhaps 6 hours before a much larger force arrives. Alex looked around at the ship's damaged bridge. We can't fight a fleet in this condition. No, but we can escape to fight another day. The AI began bringing up star charts on the main display. I have plotted a course to the first of the hidden colonies. They will provide us with the resources needed to properly upgrade this vessel. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Guardian 7 guided Alex through emergency repairs to the ship's jump drive, while simultaneously coordinating the collection of useful salvage from the destroyed attack ships. The AI's ability to multitask was incredible, managing dozens of complex operations simultaneously, while maintaining constant sensor sweeps for approaching enemies. The alien technology in these drone ships is more advanced than what we faced during the border wars, Guardian 7 observed as they analyzed the wreckage. Their energy efficiency is improved by approximately 30%, and their hull materials are significantly stronger. Alex welded another salvaged component into place. They've been busy during the last 40 years. Indeed, which makes our mission even more critical. Guardian 7 paused in its work. Alex Reed, you should understand that what we are about to undertake will change your life completely. Once we make contact with the hidden colonies, there will be no returning to your former existence. Alex considered this as he sealed the final connection on the jump drive repair. His former existence had been pretty miserable anyway. Working for Davidson Salvage, living paycheck to paycheck, with no real purpose beyond stripping valuable components from dead ships. At least now he was fighting for something that mattered. My grandfather knew this would happen, didn't he? Alex asked. He knew that someday you'd need someone to help you, and he made sure I would be the one. Admiral Reed was a strategic thinker, Guardian 7 replied. He believed in preparing for multiple contingencies. Your mechanical skills, your lack of strong ties to established institutions, your genetic relationship to him. All of these factors made you an ideal candidate. A candidate for what? To become what he could never be. A free agent, operating outside official channels with the resources and knowledge necessary to coordinate humanity's real defense. The jump drive came online with a satisfying hum. Alex felt a strange sense of accomplishment. 6 months ago, he couldn't have imagined repairing a military-grade faster-than-light drive. Now it seemed almost routine. Jump drive ready, he reported. Excellent. Initiating jump sequence in 30 seconds. Guardian 7's sensors swept the surrounding space one final time. No additional contacts detected. We appear to have a clean departure window. Alex strapped himself into the pilot's chair as the ship's massive engines began to build power. He had only made a handful of FTL jumps in his life, and never in a ship this size. The Iron Resolve might be old and damaged, but she was still a cruiser-class vessel with the power to cross interstellar distances in a matter of hours. Jump. Initiated, Guardian 7 announced. Reality twisted around them as the ship entered hyperspace. Alex felt the familiar disorientation of FTL travel, but this time it was accompanied by a sense of leaving everything familiar behind. When they emerged from the jump 3 hours later, they were in a star system that didn't appear on any official chart. Welcome to Haven System, Guardian 7 said as sensor readings began populating the displays. Home to approximately 300,000 refugees from the border wars. Alex stared at the tactical display in amazement. The system contained not just one colony, but an entire network of installations. Space stations orbited the main planet, while asteroid mining facilities and defensive platforms were scattered throughout the system. Most impressive of all were the ships. Dozens of vessels moved between the installations, and their designs were unlike anything Alex had ever seen. "They've been busy," he said quietly. "The colonists have spent 4 decades preparing for the hegemony's return," Guardian 7 explained. "They have developed technologies that the official human government never imagined." As they approached the main planet, they were intercepted by a patrol ship that looked like a cross between human and alien design. Its hull was sleek and organic looking, but it bristled with weapons that were clearly of human origin. "Unknown vessel. This is Haven Defense Ship Vigilant," came a voice over the communication system. "Identify yourself and state your business." Guardian 7 handled the response. "This is Admiral Reed's Air carrying Strategic Command Intelligence Guardian 7. We request immediate audience with colony leadership regarding imminent hegemony invasion." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Guardian 7 was destroyed during the final battle at Kepler Station. Verify your identity." The AI transmitted a series of encrypted codes that Alex couldn't even begin to understand. A few minutes later, the patrol ship's tone changed completely. Guardian 7 confirmed. "Welcome to Haven, Admiral Reed's Air. Escort formation is being arranged to bring you to Central Command." As they approached the main colony, Alex got his first good look at what the hidden settlements had achieved. The cities were built into mountainsides and underground caverns, nearly invisible from space, but clearly thriving. The technology on display was decades ahead of anything in official human space. "How did they advance so quickly?" Alex asked. "Necessity," Guardian 7 replied. "When you know that survival depends on technological superiority, innovation becomes a matter of life and death." They have also had access to alien technology captured during the border wars. The landing bay they were directed to was vast and filled with ships of designs that Alex had never imagined. Some looked almost alien themselves, while others were clearly evolved from human designs, but incorporating principles that he didn't recognize. As they touched down, Alex realized that he was about to meet people who had been living with the knowledge that Guardian 7 had just revealed to him. People who had spent their entire lives preparing for a war that the rest of humanity didn't even know was coming. A delegation was waiting for them at the bottom of the ship's ramp. The leader was a woman in her 50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes that reminded Alex strongly of his grandfather. She stepped forward as Alex and Guardian 7 descended from the ship. "I'm Director Sarah Walsh," she said, extending her hand to Alex. "I served under Admiral Reed during the final campaigns. He saved my life at least 3 times that I can remember." Alex shook her hand, feeling the calluses that spoke of years of hard work. "I'm Alex Reed. I'm still trying to understand what my grandfather got me into." Sarah smiled, and it was both warm and sad. "He got you into the fight of your life, Alex Reed. The question is, are you ready for it?" Alex looked around at the advanced colony, at the people who had dedicated their lives to preparing for this moment, and at Guardian 7, whose very existence represented humanity's last hope for survival. "I guess we're about to find out," he said. Director Walsh led them through corridors that hummed with energy and purpose. Alex had never seen technology like this, not even during his brief time at the Naval Academy. The walls themselves seemed alive with displays showing everything, from resource allocation to defensive positions throughout the colony. "We call it living architecture," Walsh explained when she noticed Alex's amazement. "Bioengineered materials that can adapt and repair themselves. We learned the principles from studying hegemony technology, then improved on them." They entered a vast command center where dozens of people worked at stations that looked more like works of art than computer terminals. The main display showed a 3-dimensional map of known space with dozens of red markers scattered throughout human territory. Each red marker represents confirmed hegemony activity. Walsh said, "Scout, ships, infiltration teams, advance bases. They've been positioning themselves for months, and we've been tracking them the entire time." Alex studied the display. The markers formed a clear pattern surrounding the major human colonies and trade routes. "It looks like they're planning to cut us off from each other." "Exactly," Guardian 7 said. "Standard hegemony tactics. Isolate each population center, then eliminate them one by one." Walsh nodded grimly. That's why we need to act first. We can't wait for them to choose the time and place of battle. She led them to a smaller briefing room where other colony leaders were waiting. Alex was introduced to Dr. Marcus Chen, the colony's chief scientist, Commander Elena Rodriguez, head of military operations, and several others who had spent decades preparing for this moment. Guardian 7 has confirmed our worst fears, Walsh began. The main hegemony invasion force will arrive within 6 months. Our long-range sensors detect massive fleet movements in deep space, far beyond anything we faced during the border wars. Dr. Chen activated a holographic display showing enemy ship configurations. Their technology has advanced significantly. New weapon systems, improved armor, and what appears to be some form of quantum shielding that we haven't encountered before. Alex felt overwhelmed. How can we possibly fight something that advanced? Because we have something they don't expect, Commander Rodriguez said with a fierce smile. We have been preparing while they have been assuming we would remain static. They think they're facing the same humanity they encountered 40 years ago. Guardian 7's optical sensors brightened. What developments have you achieved? Dr. Chen's excitement was obvious as he began bringing up technical displays. We've successfully merged human engineering with captured alien technology. Our new ships are faster, more maneuverable, and pack significantly more firepower than anything in the official fleet. The display showed ship designs that looked like nothing Alex had ever imagined. They combined the angular efficiency of human engineering with the organic curves of alien design, creating vessels that seemed almost alive. We call them hybrid-class ships, Rodriguez explained. Each one can outfight 3 conventional human cruisers, and we have 47 of them ready for combat. 47 ships against an entire invasion fleet? Alex asked. Walsh's expression grew serious. That's where the other colonies come in. We're not the only ones who have been preparing. 17 hidden settlements have been working together, sharing technology and coordinating defenses. Combined, we have over 200 advanced warships and the industrial capacity to build more. Guardian 7 processed this information rapidly. That is still insufficient to defeat a full hegemony invasion force. Their fleet likely numbers in the thousands, which is why we don't plan to meet them head-on, Rodriguez said. We've developed new tactics based on human advantages, adaptability, unpredictability, and willingness to take risks that other species would consider insane. Over the following days, Alex received an education in warfare that no military academy could have provided. He learned about quantum torpedoes that could phase through conventional shields, stealth technology that made ships invisible to most sensors, and weapons that could disrupt the quantum fields that alien ships used for faster-than-light travel. But most importantly, he learned about the people who had devoted their lives to this preparation. Engineers who had worked 20-hour days for decades perfecting new technologies. Soldiers who had trained for battles they might never live to see. Families who had raised their children knowing that someday they would have to fight for humanity's survival. The transformation of the Iron Resolve began immediately. Teams of technicians swarmed over the old cruiser, installing systems that Alex couldn't even begin to understand. Guardian 7 coordinated the work, its vast databases providing the engineering knowledge needed to integrate human and alien technologies. Your ship will become the prototype for a new class of vessel, Dr. Chen explained as they watched the work progress. If our modifications are successful, we can upgrade the entire hidden fleet to this standard. Alex found himself working alongside engineers who had been born on these colonies, people who had never known Earth but had spent their entire lives preparing to defend it. Their dedication impressed him, but it also made him realize the weight of responsibility that had fallen on his shoulders. "Do you think we can win?" he asked Walsh one evening, as they watched the Iron Resolve being fitted with weapons that seemed too large for her hull. "We can survive," Walsh replied, "and sometimes that's enough. Your grandfather used to say that humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our numbers. It was our refusal to quit, even when quitting would be the logical choice." The final modifications were completed just as long-range sensors detected the first wave of the hegemony invasion fleet. The enemy had arrived 2 weeks ahead of Guardian 7's projections, catching even the prepared colonies by surprise. All hidden fleets report ready for combat, Rodriguez announced from the command center. 237 ships distributed across 17 systems. Alex stood on the bridge of the transformed Iron Resolve, barely recognizing the ship he had inherited. Her hull now gleamed with adaptive armor that could shift to deflect different types of energy weapons. Her weapon systems included technologies that hadn't existed during the border wars. Most importantly, she was crewed by volunteers from the colonies, people who understood exactly what they were fighting for. The Hegemony fleet has begun its attack on the outer colonies, Guardian 7 reported. 17 worlds under simultaneous assault. Alex felt the weight of the moment. Everything his grandfather had worked for, everything the colonies had prepared for, came down to the next few hours. The hidden fleets were humanity's ace in the hole, but they would only get one chance to prove their worth. All ships. This is Alex Reed aboard the Iron Resolve, he said into the communication system. Today we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't go quietly into the dark. We fight, we adapt, we survive. And we make sure that anyone who threatens our people learns to regret it. The response came from 200 voices across 17 systems, pilots and gunners and engineers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. For humanity, as the Iron Resolve entered hyperspace, leading a fleet of ships that officially didn't exist toward a battle that would determine the fate of the human race. Alex realized that his grandfather had given him more than just a ship and a robot. He had given him the chance to be part of something greater than himself. The real test was about to begin. The Hegemony thought they were facing the same weak species they had fought during the border wars. They were about to discover that humanity had spent 40 years learning how to hit back. In the depths of space, the hidden fleet moved toward its destiny, carrying with it the hopes of every human settlement in the galaxy. Win or lose, the aliens would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not in their technology or their numbers, but in their absolute refusal to surrender. The war for humanity's survival had begun.